Hello, good afternoon, and welcome back to the next slot of Screen Time International, Filmakademie's event where our students and our graduates present their work and themselves to the film and animation industry and audience. For those of you who want to ask questions to the people who've joined me here in the studio or online, you can do so using the chat function in the Zoom room or go to Filmakademie's YouTube channel where we stream the next slots and use the YouTube chat function. Our program continues now with the presentations of graduate and fourth-year students from Animationsinstitut. We have 3 blocks of presentations now. We start at 12 with animation projects. At 1 o'clock we continue with the visual effects and XR projects. And at 2 o'clock this is followed by the technical directors' talks. And to conclude the day, at 3 p.m. we end Screen Time International this year with a special treat, an online premiere screening of 2 films. The VFX environmental spot The Beauty, directed by Pascal Schelbli, and the 2D animated short Blee Show, directors Christoph Saro, including Q&A with the filmmakers. But now we start with the presentation of the project Jelly Pimple, which is an animated 2D series. And with me in the studio today are Zhang, the director, and Jiayan Chen, the producer. Welcome, Tao and Jiayan.
Hi, my name is Jiayan Chen, and I'm the producer of the project. And here is Zhang, our director. So today we're bringing you Tao's diploma project, Jelly Pimple. Jelly Pimple is a transmedia project including a 2D animation series, a Tamagotchi mobile game, and merchandising products. So we are a team with 15 team members. We have been working on this project since September 2018. So maybe Tao, you can tell us more about your motivation and how did you start the project?
Yes. Hi, here is Tao, and I'm the director of Jelly Pimple, which is also my diploma project. Talking about my motivation to do this project, actually, I came up with this idea based on my personal experience. I have been suffering from pimples for many years, but it is when after I learned to accept my imperfect self, that I realized that everything wasn't so bad anymore. And I thought maybe I could make an animation to encourage the others, since nowadays more and more kids or young adults are posting filtered photos on social media like a perfect idol. But actually, they should accept their true selves. Those imperfect selves are also cute and powerful. And here have some basic information about the 2D series. And I packed these short stories in around 1 minute in each episode. And the story is around the life of pimples and their best friends blackheads, who lives on the human faces without knowing the extent of their host, the human. And through the story, the audience can see how the creatures in the 2 parallel universes to affect each other's life.
Yes, it is a very challenge to create an exciting and encouraging story about pimple, which is generally considered as annoying or disgusting. But based on this point, we really want to show our audience that they can accept themselves and they can accept the problem as a part of their body, because sometimes actually it's a natural reflecting to your lifestyle or life stage. So calm down and find the right way to deal with the problems, not always try to hide them or squash them, or it can make things worse. Yeah.
And here have some examples of our stories. The first episode, The Birth of a Pimple. The story takes place at night where a group of creatures summon a giant pink monster. And by the end, the audience then realized, it turns out to be the pimple and blackheads on girl's face. We are trying to create humor through these turning points. And in each episode, have different settings, since different people's skin is an individual wonderland, in which different kinds of pimples and blackheads grow, like the surface of the moon, and the ski area, and hot spring, and zombie land. So these different locations and virus designs also make our stories diverse. And we also have very different characters. So human hosts from different areas and eras, because no matter where and when they come from, they could all suffer from pimple problems. And maybe at the moment you also have a pimple. And due to the stress these days, I have an overnight pimple on my face. And for our character concept, there are all kinds of pimples, like allergic bumps, or where mosquitoes bite, or pimple from eating too many sweets, and so on. Yes, and that's the basic information about our 2D series. Now Jiayan will tell us more about the game.
So we have our Tamagotchi mobile game. It's a Tamagotchi game, so the players can have their own pimple on the smartphone and have interaction with them. In the prototype already developed 4 different functional areas. So in each areas we have an individual mini game with a certain topic and useful information. For example, in kitchen we have the food for keeping your skin healthy. And the longer you keep the pimple alive, the higher score you will get. And here are some keywords to summarize our game. So we really want to have the iconic look here, and we would like to keep our game also modular, which means in the future we can also build more rooms and with more different mini games and messages. So since each mini game takes only 13 seconds for a turn, so we would like to position our game as a time killer, so the players can play the game when they shortly have time. And talking about the target group, we really want to attract more potential audience through our game. And the other way around, we also want to reinforce the interaction with the audience through the game. And the players can also use the game as a social tool, since you can play the game with your friends and have battle with them.
Yes, and last but not least, our merchandising products. We think the idea with Pimple gummy bear, lipstick, and skincare products are awesome. Besides, for the current global environmental issues, we would like to bring out vegan candies and manufacture these products with recyclable materials. And we would like to encourage our funds to reduce the burden on the planet. And yes, that's all for our presentation. Thank you for your listening. And please don't hesitate to contact us if you want to talk more about the project, and you can find our contact information in the SCREEN.TIME app. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tao and Jiayan. Well, I have a question, because I remember you developed the project out of a short film that was produced, and in this short film we didn't see the person, not really. Now you have this lineup of different characters. So will there be a connection between the pimples in their faces and their personalities? Will there be personal pimples?
Yes, although actually we have all kinds of pimples, and different pimples have different personality. It depends on the setting and plot, and also the human host, such as cold or passionate or violent. It have all different kinds of individuality. So, and we want to create more pimple character and encourage people accept their true self and accept the imperfect self.
That's a really nice, approach to this topic of imperfection, especially for teenagers. You said it on Instagram, nobody posts anything without having a filter on over your face, and this causes problems especially for young people in their teens. But back to the stories, can you tell us one example of one of the stories? I mean, you're in production already of the first episode, right? Can you tell us an example of one of the stories?
For example, in the second episode, it's like the mask connected with mask and pimple. At the beginning, the audience don't know what happened. They just see the pimple and black house. They play with snow, but when the camera zoom out, and they will find, it's the pimple and mask, the human host. They just make beauty and skincare. Yes, and we want to create this turning point. Yeah, it's our humor.
That's funny. Thank you. Jiayan, the project started with a short film, as I said. Why did you decide to jump onto this project and develop more formats? Why do you think this is especially this is good for developing all these formats?
Actually, we really want to, like I said, reinforce the interaction with our audience. So for me, it's a great idea to build the whole Pimple world, and by expanding the storyline on different various platforms, since each platform has its own characteristic and advantages. So I think it's a better way to share our idea with our audience, which is actually accept the problem and find the right way to deal with them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. You can reach Jiayan and Tao. You find the information in the app, or ask your questions now. Oh, there is one question. Is there more you can tell us about the audio music concept?
Music concept. Actually, we have take the video, but the concept is more active and
I think it's it's actually since we have the cute design, and I think the music is more quick and actually active and happy. Because people live in the parallel world, they don't have any idea what's going on humans' world. So they are actually happily living in the fantasy land, and so the idea of the music is based on this idea.
Happy and encouraging. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the encouraging pitch, is what one of our viewers also says, and what I say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So our next presenters are already here, and of course everything here in this room is in accordance with the strict health protection rules. Tables are clean, distance is maintained. So I welcome two graduating students of animation, Patrik Knittel and Fynn Große-Bley, and they will present their project Leading Light.
Thanks. So let's get started. So, hello. This was a quick impression of our diploma project, the concept for an animated series, Leading Light. This is our passion project that we're working on for the last 2 years. And we're finally at the point to pitch it, and we're looking for collaborators who want to develop the story and take the whole project to the next level with us. So, as a quick introduction, my name is Fynn Große-Bley. I'm the director of this project, and my focus is on story development and character art. I worked on commercials, 3D animated short films, feature film, 3D printing and other stuff. But I love bringing characters and new worlds to life, so this was a really fun project, and I'm really looking forward to what will come out of it. And now I'm heading over to my partner in crime.
Hi, my name is Patrik Knittel. I studied animation at the Filmakademie Baden-Württemberg. As part of my diploma, I co-directed and developed the idea of Leading Light. As the focus of my studies, I had concept development and storytelling. Once Fynn pitched his idea at our class about a boy in a world of darkness with huge light creatures who protect this boy from shadows and the threats of the darkness, I was inspired and I saw an opportunity to collaborate with him. And Fynn, you maybe want to tell more about this idea and where it came from.
With pleasure. The idea of Leading Light started as a personal short film about the concept of growing up. And after Patrik joined, it developed into an epic archaic story about Aaron and Eshe, a boy and a girl, who have to face evil and darkness in the endless night around them. But not only in the world that they encounter, but also the what's inside each of them as well. And growing up, I was constantly confronted with facing unknowns as well. And it was scary, sometimes dangerous, and I had to acknowledge what I didn't know. And the balance between knowing and not knowing and light and darkness is the foundation of Leading Light. The world has no day, and the only light that there is in this darkness is the light from huge light beings that keep the dangerous and the evil creatures of the dark at bay. It's about hope and fear, a constant confrontation with danger and uncertainty. And when I grew up, these were the things that I felt as well. And we think it's fundamental to all of us. So we're eager to explore and develop the story of Leading Light further and hopefully inspire and motivate anyone who's facing their own unknowns. And to open up the world of Leading Light, Patrik will give you an introduction to the story of our two young heroes, Aaron and Eshe.
Yes, so we developed a potential pilot episode for our series concept during the studies. And in this episode, we introduce 15-year-old Aaron, who is the son of the hunter's chief and old enough to join his first mission. They need to capture a light creature to bring it back to the village and protect the people who live there. Aaron sees this expedition as an exciting adventure. However, the hunt takes an unexpected turn and ends in tragedy. The village loses the most capable hunters, and the boy returns home with the gravely wounded father without the light creature. Aaron loses his father the next day, the trust in the power of the light, and inherits the responsibility for the whole village. He has no time to mourn. The people need every capable man to capture a light creature. Meanwhile, we also tell the story of Eshe, or other protagonist. The 13-year-old girl lives among the nomadic people of the Guardians who follow the light creatures on their never-ending journey. Eshe tries to find her place in the tribe, but she has a dark secret. Traveling through the darkness is extremely harsh. Those who cannot keep up risk the safety of the whole group and get banished from it. This happens to Eshe shortly after we introduce her. She is left behind to perish after the clan discovers she has a severe breathing condition. Alone in the darkness, she has a prophetic vision about the extinction of the light creatures and the downfall of humanity. She feels obliged to find back to her people and warn them about the coming danger. At the climax of our episode, the two young heroes cross paths. But this is not an easy greet and meet. In their whole life, they learn to hate each other and they act accordingly. Eshe fights, but the hunting party and Aaron overpowers her and captures her. This is where our pilot episode ends. But there is more, and Fynn will talk about it.
Yes, Aaron and Eshe are very suspicious of each other, and since Aaron is in his familiar environment, he feels a bit more secure surrounded by his own village after they captured Eshe. And he asks Eshe for a deal in hopes of getting help and more information about the strange behavior of the shadow creatures. he asks Eschi to guide him to the next hunter's village. He heard that there is more information there and maybe people to help. And he heard of a knowledgeable healer, a priest that maybe can cure Eschi's conditions. And she sees that as a chance to get back accepted into her tribe. So she agrees and their journey begins. It quickly becomes apparent that their cultures clash, and it makes the journey that is long and dangerous in itself very taxing on both of them. And yeah, they encounter old ruins that give signs of an older civilization. There are signs of a king that wanted to illuminate the world, but he didn't succeed. The journey continues and they encounter several other things, but finally end up in the other hunter's village. And Eschi doesn't feel welcomed there. She grows suspicious of the motives of the people that live there. And she tries to warn Aaron, but since he's a hunter himself, he doesn't want to believe and listen. And they end up in a fight where Eschi splits from Aaron and runs away. So left alone again, Aaron still tries to convince the village to help him. And they finally agree and send a hunter's party with him. Meanwhile, Eschi returns back home, but things have changed. Because she developed sympathies for the hunters because of Aaron, she gets frowned upon. And she feels like she doesn't belong there anymore and that she betrayed Aaron by leaving him to the corrupt village. So she heads out to find him again, only to find his home, Aaron's home, on fire and pillaged. And under a heavy pile of debris, she finds Aaron, and he is heavily wounded. She promises him that she will stay with him and help him find the prisoners that the corrupt people took. And there are rumors spreading around that there's a new force in the darkness, the Shadow King that is rising from the depth of the earth to obliterate the last light. And so the question for our two heroes in the end is, will they be able to survive and bring back the light into their world?
Yes, and I would like to summarize where our stand on this project is right now. So until now, we developed the script for the pilot episode, and we also have a rough concept for the first season. We also created a proof of concept in a form of short, what you had seen at the beginning. This is just the first part, it's a longer thing. And we use your diploma to develop a production-friendly way to render our 3D series, and we experimented with real-time techniques, which you can hear later about in the SCREEN.TIME program. We had a lot of fun to develop and work on this project in these 2 years, and because of that we decided that we will continue it after graduation and we will realize the whole series. And because of that we are also searching for other collaborators who see also like we see that these characters and the world has a potential for a series. And feel free to connect us, and I would like to give Fynn the word.
Yeah, just as a closure, this is our contact sheet. You can find the contacts in the program of SCREEN.TIME as well. And we're really looking forward to hear from any of you suggestions or offers to collaborate. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Fynn and Patrik. Actually, I do have I have several questions. The first concerns the format. Do you already have an idea? Will it be? It's a very epic story or epic world. Will it be an episodic series with single episodes that all tell one story, or will it be a serial concept that follows through? Do you have an idea already?
Yeah. So we thought more in an epic, long, connected story, likewise like Game of Thrones or The Lord of the Rings. So it's more like this serious concept and not short, separate episodes.
I see. Okay. And how many episodes will there be in one season?
So we planned for the first season 10 episodes. We have the rough plot for each of them right now, and yeah, that's where we are standing right now.
Okay. And just one last question. From the pictures you showed and also the concept, it seems that you put a lot of effort into the atmospheric look, the look development and the atmosphere. Same question as before, but now from me, do you have an idea about the sound concept?
Yeah, the sound concept was really important for us because a lot of the story plays in the dark. So we wanted to broaden the world through sound as well. And for our diploma project, we actually mixed the sound in Dolby Atmos to open up small creaks and small noises that you could interpret as shadow creatures lurking around the next corner. And this is supported by a very melodic music that we composed with our composer. And we want to create a mythical, legendary, epic, archaic story world. So music was a huge part of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So, who wants to know more about this project? Who wants to get in touch with Fynn and Patrik? Contact them. You find their contact information in the app. And thank you very much for this presentation. And good luck with the series.
Thank you
very much.
Our next guests are here, our next presenters. We continue with this slot on animation projects with the short film Avant, which uses different techniques, animation techniques, to tell the story of this character, Ernst Rabe, and the director Stella Raith and the technical director Denise Hoffmann will tell us now more. And so let's find out who Ernst Rabe is. Avant.
So, hi there. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Stella Raith. I'm the director and animation lead of Avant, and I study animation at Filmakademie, and we finished this year.
Yeah, hi, I'm Denise. I'm also in my diploma here. I study technical direction at the Filmakademie, and for Ernst Rabe, I was responsible for the 3D workflow, the 3D pipeline, and rigging.
So our project is called Avant, and it's about postcards. I will quickly tell you something about the film, what we will see in there. Our main character is called Ernst, and that's because at the beginning he's really serious and he's a postcard figure living in his own postcard in a postcard stand, but he has a problem. Nobody's buying him, and that's the reason why he's really sad. And he's just looking at the other cards, which are actually bought. And at the point he's almost taken, and he's like, oh, wow, okay, I will be taken. He's stuck back in the postcard stand, crude, and he's falling out of his card. And he's falling out of his world into other different worlds, other techniques of animation, into 3D, into 2D, into stop motion, live action, and his journey through those postcards begins. So the film is about Ernst, our main character, which you can see here, walking. And at the beginning he is really sad, but over the film he is getting happier and happier, discovering the diversity of forms of expression in animation. Here you can see a quick overview of our film, about the color board and the 24 different postcards we've made up in our film. And we begin in live action, then we jump into his 2D card and into 3D worlds, into 2D worlds, and it's also an homage on the different techniques and the history of animation. In our next slide, you can see a workflow of one of our 2D cards we made, where he is falling into one of the cards. It's the bottom of the postcard stand. And here's the final one. Here, the first really rough animation I did for the project, and later on how we cleaned it up and how it looks like now. So here you can see how I did the animation. I did the scarf in the second step of the project, and then the final look. Here's another example of him jumping. It's one of the cards at the end of the film where he's already happier and he's jumping and enjoying life. And we also mixed up techniques, so we not only had 2D in one card, but also had 2D and 3D mixed up into one. And that leads us to our 3D part where Denise is telling you something about.
Yeah, exactly. Here you can see how the development process of our main character was. We had a 2D design that we need to convert into 3D. And we can see on the next slide how I converted it into the rig with stretchy and bendy limbs. The limbs had different deformers on it, what made the wave function possible. And we have an auto roundness function to switch between edgy and round limbs. For the face, we used a 2D texture that we can switch as well as for the eyes and brows. Yeah, and on the next slide, you already see the first 3D look. It's the birds card. It should be in a more perspective look than the other cards.
And you can see how we adapted the 2D style, which is a bit like Peanuts movie you might have seen, where he's switching eyes from one side to the other, so it's not a normal model of a figure, but a cartoony version of a person.
Yeah. All the objects were animated and rigged in Maya, and the scenes were assembled in Houdini and lit in Houdini. Here you can see the next style. It's the cactus card, where Ernst is falling through a desert, bouncing and suffering on these different cacti. This is how the scene looked for the 3D animator. And when you apply the toon shader, it looks like this for the different steps. I converted the lighting gradient into different masks to apply different colors. As you can see in the upper part of the picture, I can decide how hard the transitions are between the masks. This is the difference between the first two pictures. I applied dark outlines over an inverse Hull method, and you can apply different textures in camera space or other procedural structures also on the different masks. And this is digital asset in Houdini. Stella can use to style the final look of the card, as you can see in the next slide.
You can also see how bouncy we animated our character, which was the interesting part about the rig, which Denise did in our project.
Yeah, and here you can see another version of the toon shader. This scene didn't make it like that in the film, but you can see as well what is possible with the toon shader. And the final look for the 3D part. For For this, I also used parts of my toon shader and flatted the 3D scene, as you can see here. Here you can see I used texture in camera space and the displacement to have the paper look on the different objects. It should have a paper cutout look in the end, and you can see how it looks in the final scene. And that's it so far from me. Stella tells you about the animation process.
Thank you. So back to the animation. What we did for animating this character in 3D is that we had the first step. We did everything in a 2D way and a 2D rough animation, and then adapted it into a 3D version. So we put it into the 3D project and kind of redid the animation, and then did some reviews on it and had the final 3D version. Jeez. So here you can see a really rough version, which already tells a bit about what's happening, but then we adapted in 3D. One of the next parts in our project was stop motion. We did some stop motion in the film as well, and some postcards. Here you see a slide with different things we did. We did some paintings, we did traditional animation in wool, and we did some traditional cutout as well. It's a bit of homage on Lotte Reininger, which is an old animation woman who did one of the first animations, and we did the same in our project with cutted out figures for one of those scenes. Here you can see one of my favorite scenes of the stop motion in the film, which is a small sheep, and he's traveling with this sheep through one of the cards and is already enjoying the world of postcards. So yeah, that was it from our side. Let's watch the movie and see how our small character Ernst is getting happier and how hard it is sometimes in life, but you can travel through. And yeah, if you have some question, we will see.
Thank you very much, Stella and Denise. So is the movie already finished?
Yes.
Wow.
We did DCP yesterday, so it's now ready to take off and for our diploma presentation, and we will spread it to the festivals in the world in the next month.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, the characters and stars, they look very familiar, at least some of them, for people who have a little bit of an idea of animation. And you already said Ernst travels a little bit through different animation epochs in animation history. It's kind of an homage. How did you choose the animators and films that you used as style references?
I think for me it was most important what led me to animation and what led me to film in general. So I put in some homages on films I really liked in my childhood, like Pink Panther and The Birds, and also some other small homages I've seen a lot and I really enjoyed to watch, so it had to be in the movie. It's just a choice of what I like to enjoy and to give an overview of different techniques.
How many techniques were there on the whole?
Oh my god, do you know it? How many in total?
We have like 24 postcards, but it's less techniques, of course, but also in 3D it's like the paper
maybe
cut
20
out.
then, something about that.
Well, that's a challenge for a short film. You worked on the technical side. So which of these techniques, which of the approaches you used was the most challenging, was the biggest challenge for you?
Maybe it was the whole process to get all together was the greatest challenge, I think. To handle everything and to mix 2D and 3D with all the people of the project, and handling the process, I would say.
The animation style looks quite specific, quite unique to me. Can you describe what you wanted to achieve with the style of animation?
I love the flow of animation, so it's more a cartoony look, of course, and it's a lot based on rhythm and music. So throughout the movie, you also have at the beginning you have just noises and sounds, and you don't have a music, but step by step you're following our main character through the cars, and he's experiencing more and more how a music is made up, and all the sounds you can't bring together at the beginning are brought together at the end to one music and to the rhythm I animated on him. So I took a rhythm for him as how he's walking and how he's experiencing, and I combined my experience as a dancer into that movie.
Oh, I see. So there's a development of the character as he falls through the... Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, are there any questions from the audience? Not at the moment. Just a reminder, don't hesitate to ask your questions in the Zoom or the YouTube chat if you have any to our filmmakers. But if not at the moment, I wish you all the best with the diploma presentation, but also with the film. I'm sure it will be successful. And thank you very much, Denise and Stella, for this presentation. As everyone, you can reach Stella and Denise. Their contacts are in the app.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So, this was the first block of Animationsinstitut with the animation projects. We have now a short break, and we continue at 1 p.m. with VFX, visual effects, and an AR project. Don't miss it. Come back at 1 o'clock, either in the Zoom room or live on YouTube on the Filmakademie YouTube channel, or watch it on the website of Animationsinstitut.de, where you can also redirected to YouTube. Okay, so thanks for watching. We continue at 1 o'clock with visual effects. Thank you.